So building a self-confidence is the part of overcoming that fear for that first step or the first flight or the something in life for the first time which you're going to do. Imagine the small kids who come to class in pre-nursery. At home they say, I want to go to school, I want to go to school, I like school, this school, that school. When the parent comes for admission, they say, oh, my child likes school, he is always wanting to come, or he or she is wanting to stay in school. First day he comes or she comes and you see the tantrums. Just as the parent is leaving the child and going, see the face, geographical factors of the face. Eyes are turning in and that crying thing is coming out and that starts. And hell to play. Now whole day I want to go home. That fear. What is going to happen? My parents are not there. But gradually, that first step is the fear. Some children don't want to show their fears, but they are scared inside. That gap is the place where we gain our confidence. It's a magnificent story on the need for courage and self-confidence. It's a parable about overcoming fears in life. What is a parable? Parable is an information in various, knowledge, illustrate moral issues in or spiritual lessons about principles, about life. It includes animals, plants, inanimate objects or forces of nature's characters. Some parables have human characters also. Example, it's an illustration. Parable is that something which tries to teach us a religious or moral lesson. There is the parable of the prodigal son, there is the parable of the good Samaritan. They are basic. Nobody told him the truth except a young boy who screamed to see him. This also has a moral of this parable is that people should have their own opinions. They do not need to depend upon others' opinions. Okay, so it's an illustration. What is the illustration about this? The parable about this is the overcoming fears in life. Even a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. But that single step is the most difficult one to take. Conquer the fear and venture forth. And then we realize that we are born with wings. We can fly. Not literally fly. Got my point, what I am trying to say? Now, the journey is going to begin. What is the journey? It's not literally walking from here to Muzaffarpur or walking from here to Patna. Even that. The religious people who go with their water to the temples, they come walking. That first step they take out from that house, they think in their mind, they call God, please help me. And that first step starts and he goes. You want to go out and study somewhere, out of your hometown, where the culture will be different, social activities will be different, socialization will be different, way of living will be different, and you're thinking twice what to do, what not to do. You're scared before we go. We try to scare that we already think that something wrong is going to happen. But once we take that step, you go, and when you reach or when you start doing that thing which you want to do, you realize that you have got wings. The courage and conquer that fear is when we come to know we are born with wings. The first flight. So he's comparing it with a small seagull. Seagull is a small bird. Seagulls are colloquially seagulls are seabirds, family. They are the most close related to the terns and only distantly related to ox skimmers. Small birds, very cute looking birds, seagulls, and you will see them only near the sea. And they are what do you say, they can swim also. This is seagull maritime, it is called. It is called seagull maritime, because every step color is grey and white, black markings on the head or wings. They have that harsh wailing and squawking calls. Their beaks are long. They can consume live food, crabs, small fish, huge jaw they can take in. They densely stay together in one colony and they make a lot of noise. Okay. They can drink salt water as well as fresh water. The salt comes out through the nose. Type of courageous bird. It's a seagull. So generally the examples are taken about the seagull maritime. Why is it called the seagull maritime? Because every step you take is very careful. The seagull also, every step it takes it very carefully. They are very clever. They learn, remember, and even pass on behaviors, such as stamping their feet in a group to imitate things. So they are very cute birds. Very good learners. They can imitate rainfall and trick earthworms in coming to the surface. They'll tap their feet in such a way that it's raining and the earthworms come out. They have different feeding behaviors. They're very caring parents, male and female pair for life, and they take turns in incubating eggs and feeding and protecting their chicks. They have a good source of communication, which includes range of vocalizations and body movements. Both can drink fresh and salt water. Most animals can't do it, can't drink salt water. But they have that special pair of glands right above their eyes, designed to flush the salt out from their system through the opening in the bill, that nose holes. They have a huge diversity. They have got a small claw, they sit on high tops, even the huge wind blowing on the seaside, they'll not move, they'll stay there. From young age, they are taught how to, where they will play, learn vital skills of adulthood, and they are trained by the adults, and they are always stay with their parents till they are enough to get ready and breed themselves. They are in that, it says seagull means a carefree attitude, versatility, versatility and freedom, the Native American symbol. Many seagulls have learned to conserve energy by hovering over bridges in order to absorb rising heat and paved roadways. Seagulls are fondly remembered in the Utah for helping Mormon settlers deal with the plague of crickets. The seagull is now the state bird of Utah, and a monument in Salt Lake City commemorates the event known as the Miracle of the Gulls. So that's why this person has written about the seagull. Got my point? I'll come back in the next video.